All right, so Ethan, I came across an article this morning that absolutely hooked me. And the headline was The Death of Partying in the USA and Why It Matters. And the sub-headline to that was young Americans today spend 70% less time attending or hosting parties than they did at the beginning of the 21st century. And as I saw that, I was like, I need to read more of this, and Ethan and I need to discuss it, because immediately what came to mind, that's amazing. Okay, partying is declining, but is the real problem there the fact that people are just spending less time with people? Is that what we are saying? And I was very curious why this might be the case.
Welcome to King Moves. In chess, the king moves one step at a time, but that single move can change everything. Each week, we explore mindset shifts and simple actions that could lead to the next breakthrough in your business and life. I'm your co-host, Ethan King, from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa. Entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures as we think out loud, challenge assumptions, and uncover the small moves that create big momentum. Welcome to King Moves. Let's start the conversation.
Between 2003 and 2004, the amount of time that Americans, and this was specific to the US, but the amount of time that Americans spend hosting or attending social events declined by 50%. So that's broad brushstrokes, all Americans. And then they broke it down into categories. And what is crazy for me is that it's the 15 to 24-year-old category where it has declined by that 70%. It's 69% of, let's call it the party goers, the party animals, the party age, are just not partying as much as they used to. So I think it's crazy. I'm keen to get your thoughts. For me, that's a massive issue. People just not spending time with people. And why is that the case?
Wow, so people are partying less. I thought it was just me. I thought I was getting old and lame. But yeah, wow, 50% down since the early 2000s. That is, if you would have asked me to guess the number, I would have guessed something. I would probably said it declined, but I would have guessed a lower number. But yeah, you actually brought this up earlier before the call. It definitely seems to correlate with the evolution of the smartphone. And so the iPhone came out in 2007, but before that, we did have, there were smartphones. iPhones weren't the first smartphone. It's funny, I had to educate someone on that recently. They thought the iPhone, side note, Apple doesn't invent anything. They really just improve upon things that already existed. So I remember my wife had a Windows tablet phone back in the early 2000s. So the evolution of screens, individual personalized screens, I think is a huge contributing factor to this, and social media, things like binge watching. I mean, screens have been around, but when I was a kid in the 80s, we would all sit around the dinner table and then all watch TV together because a show came on at a specific time. Thursday night at 8, we were all watching The Cosby Show and then a Different World together as a family. And all of my friends did the exact same thing because we would come to school the next day and talk about what we watched the night before. But now you can watch what you want. You can binge watch an entire season on whatever day you want. So it's become more individualized and personalized. And I'm not sure if that's necessarily a good thing for society or what? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it's a good thing for society. I think once it becomes a trend, you lose out on the skill set to be able to interact with people face to face and in person. And Derek Thompson, who's the author of the article, he actually wrote a cover story for The Atlantic, and he termed the social phenomenon the anti-social century. That's what we are slowly becoming. And particularly the US, he said that in no time in history, in recorded history, have Americans spent more time on their own, alone, than now. So it actually goes a layer deeper than not just partying, but people are not partying and they are spending time alone. So it's not as if you're not partying, but then it seems that you're still spending time with a group of friends or other people with it. And I don't necessarily think the stats are exactly 69% decrease in partying, 69% increase in people being on their own, but it seems to be real correlation between the two. And it also makes me wonder, and you and I spoke about it on a previous episode, about the alcohol consumption and how alcohol consumption is decreasing. And is that purely because people are spending more time on their own rather than less time partying? So I'm trying to tie these back and figure out which is which. But for me, there are quite a few criteria or thoughts that come to mind. The first one is, as you said, screens. So it's that this seems to correlate, 2003 2024 seems to correlate with the smartphone, screens, Netflix. You said the ability to binge watch. That's never existed before. When in history could you sit down and watch 3 days of shows, one after the other? I remember when I was at university, we used to have to wait for a week for the next episode of something to be uploaded to the internet at the university to be able to watch it. So that's giving away age as well. But so this is happening now. It's less alcohol. So I think that's contributing to people possibly also then not necessarily wanting to go out. If you're sitting around having a few drinks at home with everyone, suddenly everyone's got into a certain level and you're like, right, let's go partying. So that's possibly contributing. The idea, and this is particularly in South Africa, just less disposable income for a lot of people.
Well, I think that's everywhere too. I mean, especially right now, it's a tough economy and people don't have as much discretionary income, money to throw away. So there's a decline that's hitting nightclubs and bars as well. So it sounds like what we have here, I mean, you've rattled off 4 or 5 different causes that they may not necessarily be correlated. Like, I don't think that the decline in drinking is connected to the screens. I think they're 2 separate causes that are all affecting the decline in the social interactivity and going out and partying. And, what this makes me think of is business in general. Usually when a business is suffering and declining, it's not one thing. It's usually a combination of little things, that death by 1,000 cuts. And you have all of these contributing factors, and you need to address each one and figure out how to pivot, how to change the business or change the business model so that you aren't affected by these things. Because a lot of times we can't change societal shifts. It's too massive of a thing for a business to change, at least quickly. Now businesses can have some influence if you do things the right way, and you're very like Elon Musk. I mean, he has the power to change societal shifts, at least for a huge swath of the population. But most of us in a small business don't have that power. So since we can't change societal shifts, what can we change about our business? So thinking about this as a problem, if I were in the party industry, how would I adapt? How would you adapt to this, given these factors?
Shutting my doors isn't an option. You're taking that one off the table.
You can't shut your doors. Now you could, if I had to present this as a college case study problem,
case study.
You can't shut your doors, but you could change anything else about your business. But
That's a good question.
You're in the business of gathering people together in person to have fun.
Yeah, I suppose to a degree, and I'm not answering your question directly because I'm dodging it because I don't have a good answer at this point. But has the gaming industry not done this to a degree? Because if you've had people that are just sitting at home gaming alone, and now they'll have massive gaming events and it's competitive gaming, but they generally do also bring those people together. I know it's not partying, but let's move away from partying and speak about people gathering together. So they've kind of done to a degree exactly what you're saying, looking at the statistics, what is happening, and then how do we bring that in and use it as a feature rather than a bug to bring people together. So that would be along the thoughts of your question that you're asking.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I would possibly do is, if I was in the industry, and it's one that we haven't mentioned, but is safety concerns. So if I look at that age bracket of the 15 to 24 years old, that's generally going to be the age, particularly on the younger side, where parents will be worried about their kids going out at that age. And then still college going, so parents will still be worried about college going age kids as young adults as well. And maybe that there is a link to less people then going out because more concerned about, is my child going to be abducted and what is the situation? And it seems way easier these days. So is there a way to bring the safety aspect in? And is your gathering somehow, I don't know where I'm going with this, Ethan. I'm grasping at straws here to try and get an A in your class.
That's funny. Well, you did great for being put on the spot. You know what? Since you've been talking, I've been having time to think about it longer than you. Here's what I might propose. And it's funny because we're kind of working on this in our businesses too, but it's introducing the aspect of a community with a shared purpose. So if we know that we're in a digital world, we're in the screens, we're not going to get rid of the screens. We're in a world of personalized screens. So I think if I were in the party business, I would start there. Maybe an app, but something around a shared purpose. If you think about going out partying, nightclub scene, it's all the same purpose. It's to get drunk and hook up, right? But if those things are declining, if people aren't drinking as much and, the hookup culture is shifted to apps and so forth, what other cause? Like maybe it could be having a community around fitness, marathon, people who are into marathons, ultra marathons. And you get together in this digital community, but then you also have a physical in-person get together where you're probably not going to be selling a lot of drinks, because that crowd probably drinks less than even normal society. But you can still get together and do other things in person and have a good time. And I think people are more likely to come out for that type of community that has a shared purpose, just like EO or anything else, a business community, YPO, things like that. But you have these specialized groups, and maybe that's where these clubs need to shift. I was doing some research, and even Las Vegas has declined in recent years. Very, very slow drop. People are coming to Vegas less. Slot machines are down. But they're tracking all of these stats. It's affecting, you mentioned gaming, so that made me think of Las Vegas. So it's affecting a lot of different sectors.
Maybe it's just also a reframe around, because I like what you're speaking about. It's a reframe around partying. And like you said, there's two reasons: get drunk, hook up. That's the old, let's call it the old school thought about partying. But if we think about partying, what we're really meaning is going somewhere to have a good time. And that can be linked, exactly like you said, linked to finding your tribe, people who share your passion and people who share your purpose. And if you're getting together and you're doing the thing that doesn't have to involve drinking, it doesn't have to involve anything else, it doesn't have to involve 3 a.m. mornings, because that's our old school thoughts around what partying is. But partying in the new context of today's day and age it's the running clubs that we've seen so many have exploded.
Yeah.
It just seems that every area now has a running club where they've got cool bright colored shirts and cool bright colored caps. So that seems to be the thing. So that's the new partying to a degree. And I think we left that off is people's relationship with health and fitness these days. Ethan, you and I speak about it a lot, and it's such a big part of our lives. But when you are fixated and have health and fitness goals, you quickly realize that old school partying doesn't contribute towards that in any way, shape, or form. So maybe that's a contributing factor as well.
Yeah, it goes against it. I'm part of a WhatsApp group, a community all about Joe Dispenza meditation retreats. Joe Dispenza, if you don't follow him, I mean, he sells out these week-long retreats all around the world where people just get together and meditate all day for hours. So this is in-person gathering, and they're not cheap. They cost thousands of dollars and plus your travel expenses, but he sells them out quickly. Like you have to be ready it's one of those things where to register, you have to be ready and hit the button at the minute they open the doors online for you to purchase tickets. So the party scene has to evolve. They're being hit like this. They really need to evolve and figure out what angle they can take from a branding perspective so that they can appeal on a deeper level and really start borrowing from some other industries. Last story I'll give on this. Last week I was in Aruba, and it was my first time there. And there's a strip of different resorts on the north side of the island where we were staying. And we stayed at the Ritz-Carlton, which was very quiet, luxury. I think it was my first time staying at a Ritz-Carlton, so I wanted to experience that. Plus, I waited to the last minute, honestly, to book my trip. So that was all that was left. But one morning, I took a run down the strip and I ran past all of the resorts along the beach. So I got to see, I was running by each of the pools. And each resort had a different culture, a different tone to it. Like some of the pools I ran by, people were partying, music, the DJ was in the pool spinning, like it was 100 people in the pool. And then the next one I went to was maybe a little quieter. Maybe the next one had more families and kids and playing games. And then the Ritz-Carlton was just silent. That's actually one, I didn't like that about the Ritz-Carlton. The pool was too quiet. There was no music or anything. And it was just, I guess some people want that. It's like, I don't want to be bothered with any of that stuff. Me, I like a little bit of action and entertainment. But it goes to show, to our point, that your brand needs to appeal to certain people that you want to gather together in person, where your brand has to speak to what that person wants and really amplify that message so you can get people there. So because we want to be around like-minded people in our communities.
I like that. So if we start bringing this around to a king move for listeners off the back of everything that we've discussed, is there anything that comes to mind for you? Because we've danced all over in this conversation so far.
Yeah, I think it's good to look at what's happening in different sectors because it all connects and one thing affects another. So this does affect, if you're a business owner, a business leader, this decline in partying is a clue about something that could possibly affect you. But if I were to give people a king move, it's look at the commonalities across your customer base, across your client base. Go read through your reviews, copy your reviews that you have in Google or wherever you have them online, copy all of your testimonials, put them into AI and ask AI, what are the common traits that you see from these people who are happy with my brand? Because I'm trying to find a community and I want to amplify the purpose of my community to encourage people to come to in-person events. And AI will read through all of your reviews and give you a list of, here's the commonality. This is what I see as the purpose of your brand. And here's how you could, and ask AI for a plan. Like, give me a plan to attract more people to come in person. Given this decline that we're seeing in partying, how can I get more people to come in and quote unquote party with my brand? So that would be my king move.
I like it. I can't do too much better than that, I must admit. And if we speak about a king move, so let me not muddy the water with another one from my side. So let's end on that. I think it's a good one. It's
all right.
Yeah, pay attention to what's happening and put AI to work to help you come up with the common themes and trends. I like it.
That's a wrap for today's episode of King Moves. Remember, in chess, like in business, one right move can change everything. Take today's action step, make your move, and build momentum.
If you found value in today's episode, share it with someone who's ready for their next breakthrough. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss our weekly conversations. Until next time.